Warriors, hope everybody's enjoying the weekend, getting ready for the week. Shifting months, now we're going into Aquarius, which there's a lot that we can say about Aquarius. I'm not going to get into that here, but I told you guys that I'll come back and holler at y'all again by the weekend, so here I am. Wanted to share a couple things from a book that I read probably a month or two ago. Big fan of David Goggins. I mean, probably no surprise there. But just finished reading his second book, and I mean, although his first book, You Can't Hurt Me, is extremely good. One of my favorites, like far as like inspiration, you know, a lot of takeaways for self-motivation and things like that. In his second book, it was really clear for me to be able to see his growth because of his approach, understanding that, you know, when you get older, you might have to approach things different. Or if you had an injury, you might have to approach things different. You might not be able to do the same things you used to do before and get the results that you're looking for. And there's two particular chapters in this book that I wrote small summaries on that will be down below in the description. That I want to just talk about a little bit. The first chapter that I want to talk about, even though all the chapters are good, the first one is Disciple of Discipline. I mean, the title alone is loaded, you know. If you truly want change with anything, it will not happen without discipline. Like real change, it will not happen without repetition. It's just the way that we're wired, you know. And you know, with me, it's always about the mind. So to break a habit, they tell you it takes 21 days, 30 days, whatever the case may be. Take some time, repeatedly doing something different than you did before, right? Okay, this is so that you can sever the synaptic connection, and then you're going to want to create new connections within your brain, right? So we've already kind of said this before. Every thought creates a chemical. Every thought creates a chemical. Okay? Every chemical has something to do with creating a hormone. And when we have thoughts, or we're changing things, we're doing things differently than we normally would do, even with different workouts. When you might be in shape, but if you start doing a different workout, it's going to require more energy because you're going to have to think about what you're doing that's different from what you were doing before. So you're going to have to train your body, you know, not just physically, but neurologically as well, to do this different thing. One of the funny things that I think about when I first started jiu-jitsu is that a lot of the things that people who've been doing it forever, they make it look so easy. And I couldn't get my body to respond. I'm like, yo, my body doesn't want to, I see what you're doing, but my body does not want to do that. And it takes practice. And that's another thing about martial arts. If you stop doing it, you kind of lose it. It requires multiple repetition. What they say? 1,000. I might be saying it a little differently because it's the way I interpret it in my brain, but I'll put the correct quote down below as well. But the way I say it in my brain is 1,000 lessons for discipline, 10,000 lessons for mastery. And the original quote goes something like that, but that's the way I like to say it. 1,000 lessons for discipline. So think about that. If you have to do something 1,000 times to acquire real discipline from it, then undoubtedly this will show up in your character. And then if you do that 10,000 times, that's a level of mastery that others will just naturally see that you have, because of how you will be able to take something complicated and make it simple. An example of this is, some of you know, many of you don't know, but I'm a data guy. I'm a data person, building data models, data governance, data architect, BI, that's my lane. I love data. It's not for everybody because it's extremely tedious, and you got to be super accurate and be willing to be patient, especially with people, but that's a whole nother story. But the thing about it is, when I first started learning this whole thing of data, it started off like a DBA and some other stuff or whatever from the person that I was working with, had a little business or whatever. But I put in no less, and there's a few people who know me that know this, I put in no less than 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, for a minimum of 5 years straight. That's how dedicated I was to it. That's why, I have the ability to kind of just know where someone's data architecture is, regardless of the systems that they're using, regardless of the technology that you're using, where they are, and being able to manage their data, because of how much experience I have with this. And it's the same thing with everything else, working out, changing certain things within your life. You'll have these upticks where you'll get ahead and you'll think like, okay, all right, I'm doing good, I move past that. But then you might have to revisit that cycle, because most people think of things in a linear fashion, but that's not really how life works. When we ascend, we spiral up. So you might be spiraling up, but you might have to come around to a lesson that you visited before in a previous cycle, and it's not quite the same way as it was before, but you recognize similarities in this thing. And if you pass that test, then you spiral up even more. You'll ascend more. If you don't, you'll descend, and you'll find yourself dealing with the same things over and over again until you pass the test. So that was one, disciple of discipline. I love that. I really do. The other chapter that really stood out in the book was Savage Reborn. Now, nobody else can really tell you if you're a savage or not, but you know yourself, and I know I am a savage, period. I can't be stopped. I won't let anything stop me. I'm relentless in my approach. Does that mean I don't have shortcomings? No, it doesn't mean that, but I face them. I deal with them. Does that mean I don't have setbacks? Of course I do. This is life. Everybody does. But it's about how you deal with it. It's about how you deal with it. And when you're really, even warriors, in that particular book, in that particular chapter in the book, he was a little older. He was doing one of these crazy, like 100-mile race type situations, and his body was failing him, and he found himself in his mind asking himself, why am I really doing this? And in his first book, he had a lot of those moments when he would ask himself, why was he doing what he was doing when he was going through Navy SEAL training, going through buds, and his ankles was busted and his knees was busted, and he had pneumonia on his lungs, and all kinds of stuff going on. And he found that dog within him. I like to say wolf, because I'm more of a wolf than a dog. And he just broke through, and he found himself in the same spot, I'm guessing almost 20 some years later, older, in this race. Body is just jacked up, falling apart. He's known to be this savage, has this reputation of being a savage, and like he broke, Warriors do break. Warriors do break. But we don't stay broken. We know how to put ourselves back together. You know, if you do break, it's only the opportunity for you to alchemize yourself into a better, stronger, more equipped you to deal with this thing called life. So if you break, hey, death and rebirth is part of the process, man. Understand that. Don't get down on yourself. Don't have a pity party. Just accept it. The sooner you can accept it and move through it, you're going to be better for it. So in this chapter, A Savage Reborn, I don't know, I just really could identify with this chapter as well too, because in my younger years, not even in the weight room, even though, you know, I talk about the weight room quite a bit, and, you know, I've been an athlete most of my life. And I also talked about being sick, you know. I truly wasn't sure if I would ever be as healthy as I am right now ever again in my life, you know. And that was hard for me. That was really, really difficult for me, which, you know, I had to find some special stuff from deep, deep down within in my soul, by myself. No support, by myself. This is something that nobody could tell. I had to find it for myself. Surrounded by a bunch of people who really didn't give a shit about me. And one thing that I've learned in this life, and not to get morbid, but I'm just going to kick some truth to you. You have people who do support you in this life. So don't think that everybody's against you, you know? But the one thing I've learned in this life here, when shit hit the fan and you're on the verge of death, which I've been there more than once, the only thing that you're ever going to have is you and your maker. I don't care if there's other people in the room with you that watching you go through this. Yes, I'm sure that would help. It's comforting. I didn't have that. But without a shadow of a doubt, because I've had those experiences, it showed me that nothing can stop me ever in this life, period. You know, I don't get all bent out of shape over material stuff. I mean, I like stuff just as much as anybody else, but at the end of the day, I have so much of a deeper understanding of what this thing life is and, you know, how it works. Where years ago, I remember being in a crazy amount of pain that I can't even explain to you. I mean, so much pain that you physically cannot think straight. You can't even keep yourself just to sit still for a second, but then you have to learn how to. You still have to learn how to do it, you know? There's no way around it. You got to do it. So, in doing so, I remember just laying on the floor, just, you know, waiting for the pain to subside, and just telling myself, I made a decision right then and there. I was like, I don't really care how long this lasts. I don't care if I don't make it through it. I don't care if I have to do this by myself. I'm making up in my mind right now that I'm not going to let this thing defeat me mentally. So no matter how much pain I'm in, I've already made up my mind that I'm going to live my life to the best of my ability. And, you know, it was a long climb up. You know, it wasn't like I was sick one day and then like the next month, 2 months, not even a year, not even 2, not even 3, not even 4, 5, 6 years later. It took damn near a decade to get back to where I am now. But I'm probably the strongest I've ever been in my life, mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm doing things that I thought I would never be able to do again. Because at that point when I was sick, I couldn't even take my daughter to the park, you know, which is kind of crushing as a parent, you know. You know that your child's not going to be little forever. And then some people kind of knew I was, but not everybody, because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't really want to talk about it. Like, leave me alone. I'm dealing with this. But anyway, a Savage Reborn. If you make up your mind in the midst of whatever you're going through, you don't have to have the answers as to like how to bring light to the darkness. You just become your own light. Man, that may take a minute for you to figure out how to do that. But if you make up your mind, no matter how much to climb, no matter how much weight is put on you, that you're committed to what you've made your mind up to, you will overcome it. And that's a beautiful part about life. And that's a personal testimony to you, where you don't really need to have anybody give you a congratulations on the back or have somebody praise you, because you already know what you made it through. You know, and people will, you know, you'll be surprised about who's actually paying attention to you, and that will mean a lot to you, you know, because they'll genuinely mean it, and you'll know it. So that's my takeaway. I'm still going to link with my folks. Today was just crazy for him. Today was crazy for me, so we couldn't link together, but we've already kind of got things lined out as far as like what we're going to talk about. Like I said, he's incredible energy worker. He's an acupuncturist. He's helped me through a lot of built up scar tissue and stuff that I had in my neck and things like that. Well, I don't deal with those issues anymore. So I'm not going to get into that too much. So I'll keep you guys posted as to when we're actually going to record that, because I feel like that'll be very helpful and beneficial for a lot of people in a lot of different reasons. So until next time, like I said, man, just be a disciple of discipline. And then just know that, like, yo, warriors go through things too. So if you break, it's a perfect opportunity for the savage to be reborn. Love y'all. Peace.